One face.
Here's our other guest. Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. It's a beautiful day. This is Wednesday, the day for Queen Mother Speaks, live at 5 p.m. Kenya time and 10 a.m. New York time. I am your host, Ella Dashanaba King, and our co host, Nana Afua, is in the house today. But guess what else? We also have a very full house today. So we're going to take a minute and introduce them. But before we do that, I want to just give a shout out to many of our friends who are tuning in today from California. I see that we have Kwashi and his wife, Queen. There is Tashmia and her grandbaby, Nyla, who's tuning in with us today. Thank you for tuning in. And Red, thank you. You always come to support Queen Mother Speaks, and we love you. We love you. We love you for that. Out of Atlanta, Georgia, we have a crew who likes to tune in to Queen Mother Speaks. We have Lady Mo. We have Sass, High Priestess Seyshat. There is Carmen. And who else is there? Okay. And Michelle. Thank you for tuning in to Queen Mother Speaks. We can't do it without you, and we love doing it every week with you. I'm going to invite you to hit the like button and the share button, okay, and the comment button, and let us know that you're there. This is Queen Mother Speaks. You can reach us every week on facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks. And like we've stated today, we have a full house. And so what we're about to do is bring Nana in, and she's going to tell you who's in studio today. Nana?
Well, hello. And welcome, like she said, to the Queen Mother Speaks. Make sure that you sign in and let us know if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Queen Mother Speaks. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and we want to know where you're at. So if you have questions for our guests, just type it in the comments wherever you're viewing, so then you can participate in our show with us today. Because in the studio today, we have a special edition of somatic therapist Mary Cordelia from Virginia in the United States of America. We have Elizabeth from QMS segment, the exciting, like no other, Talila Report. We have
Talila Report.
Yes. Wanina from Democrats Abroad, and the Kenyan feature, we please welcome to two shows, the National Police Wives Welfare Association. We have Ann Oching, who is the national chairwoman. We have the Secretary General, Miss Maureen Kamaria. We have, and if I mess the names up, just please forgive me. I'm doing my best. We have Ellen Mutenga, representative, and the vision bearer, Miss Genetrix Aura. So I invite you to be relaxed and ready for this awesome show. Hit the like, share, and comment button. If this is your first time tuning in, we thank you so much for being here. We have men, women, and youth having very unique, innovative projects and transformative works, plus special edition shows like today. So stay tuned right there. Please call a friend. Tell them that the Queen Mother Speaks show is on. And
that's it.
Prior to the other shows, we want you to arrange a watch party on your different social media pages. Go to our page, tell us who you are, where you're from, and the guests you want to see on the show. Click facebook.com, Queen Mother Speaks, and mine is facebook.com/author Teresa R. Kemp. Back to you, Queen Mom.
All right. Thank you so much, Nana, for that. What I want to say to the guests right now, that I want you to go ahead, like she stated, hit that share button, that like button, that comment. We want to hear from you. You know, sometimes I'm out in the marketplace and I run into people and they're telling me about the show. And I said, You're tuning in? They said, Yes, we are. I said, well, let us know you're tuning in. Tell us who you are and where you're tuning in from. We would like to hear from you and know who you are and what you have to say about Queen Mother Speaks. We are in season 8. This is episode 13, which means we will be ending this particular season. But our theme for this season it is, if not you, who? If not now, when? The time is now. So we're inviting you to take some steps to do something and make something happen in your own life. And that's simply what the message is for the theme. Do something and do it now. All right. As you know, a few weeks ago we had a blackout, and we promised you a special episode 11 edition. So stay tuned. We're still putting that together for you, and we look forward to bringing that special edition for you. I want to say, rise up, ye mighty nation of men and women. Okay. And what we want you to do when you rise up, we want you to rise up and do something for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your state, for your country. I'd like to take this moment to give a shout out to the viewing audience, the Honorable Margaret Tolley, Rose Umwara, Maurice Obuyu, all from Kenya, Dr. Willie Butler, now in Louisiana, Brother Chess and Raymond Sussman from New York City. Nana, you've already told us who's in the studio today. So what we're going to do right now is to go to our very, very first guest. And she is here in Kenya. Okay. And she's come to tell us about voting from abroad. She's here to tell you about how to vote. You still have time to get that vote in. So she's here, right now, to talk to you about that. And here we go. Let's bring her live on the screen.
Hello, hi, my name. Yes, thank you so much, Queen Mother and Nana, for having me on the show. My name is Paula Escobar Wainaina. I am a Democrat and a U.S. citizen living in Kenya, volunteering as secretary with the Democrats Abroad Kenya Country Committee. So for those of you who are abroad and tuning in, if you have not yet requested your ballot, registered to vote, yet for the midterms, then you still have time to do it depending on your state. But I urge you to go today, go right now to votefromabroad.org. It will depend on the state. Every state has their different guidelines and requirements, but you can find all of that information at Vote From Abroad. Just a quick, maybe summary: Democrats Abroad is the global arm of the Democratic Party, and we have U.S. citizens that are living all over the globe, really, right? So
yes, we do.
Right, and so we focus on mobilizing that overseas vote. Pardon me, 1 second. You'll hear my dog. It's dinner time, so I have to feed him soon. But so mobilizing that overseas vote, engaging the overseas voters in politics that are happening back home that definitely continue to impact us no matter where you live. So register, request your ballot, and if you are unsure of your registration status or ballot status, you can contact your local election official. All of that information you'll find at votefromabroad.org. And it's really, really important. Even if you're not abroad, but you know people that are, tell them please to get their votes in, because the overseas votes were the margin of victory in some key races in 2020, especially Georgia. I heard there are some folks from Georgia in the House, so we need that to happen again this year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Paula, for talking to us about Democrats abroad. I, too, am a Democrat, and we've been having some very active activity here in Kenya, the land of paradise on earth. We've been doing a lot here with the Democrats. We've been being at the malls. We've been meeting people, talking to people, and people are genuinely happy to hear from us. Now, I will say that when we go out to the malls, it's like a nonpartisan piece. All right. So we're there because we're all Americans. So regardless of your party, the information is the same. The dates for getting your ballots in overall are the same. Of course, they vary by state, as Paula has said. But we are very happy for that. And stateside, do what you have to do. Go in, check your status, make sure you're. In fact, I have registered, and my ballot hasn't come. So as of early this morning, my ballot hadn't come. So I will be checking for it again after we complete with the show today. Our next guest on the show is one who's been on the Queen Mother Speaks show on several occasions and several times. In fact, we have a segment named for her. It is called the Talila Report.
Thank you so much, Queen Mom.
Yes.
So I'm American lawyer Elizabeth Myers. Coming to you live from Marrakesh, Morocco, with another Tilila report on Queen Mother Speaks. And it's so wonderful to hear a shout out for votefromabroad.org, because not only is Paula one of our fabulous volunteers, but Queen Mom is a fabulous volunteer as the secretary, my secretary in my committee, the Democratic Abroad Africa Committee. So I have to give that a shout out as well.
Thank you.
But to get back to the report, in the North African language of Tamazight, Tilila means freedom. And that's what we cover. Anything that impacts democracy and the rule of law and your freedom to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I'm going to cover 3 developments relating to the rule of law, justice, and democracy. And funnily enough, they all came down last Wednesday, a week ago today. Now, every day brings more Trumpery, which is such an apt word, I'm using it again, worthless nonsense. But last week brought these developments that may actually trump all the lies and deceit that we've seen. The first one is the saga about the former president's retention, or as we ought to be saying, steal of government documents found by the search and seizure the FBI executed pursuant to a lawfully issued search warrant on August 8th in Mar-a-Lago. The treasure trove of documents seized then that are marked classified at the highest levels implicate our US national security. Now, Trump initially claimed that he had declassified all the documents, but he's produced no record of that cumbersome formal process, nor any witnesses within the administration to testify to affirm that. And he also claimed then inconsistently that the FBI had planted documents. Well, this has played out somewhat differently in court, where his lawyers have refused to assert either proposition, and the typical delaying tactics that his lawyers use may have backfired. The courts in the aptly named case, Trump versus the United States of America, yes, that's the actual name of the case, have acted with dispatch, and I believe will dispatch Trump's tricks with alacrity. So after the execution of the search warrant, Trump moved for the appointment of a special master to review the boxes and boxes of documents that the federal government had seized, all of them, not just the classified ones. And then, having indicated her preliminary intent to appoint a special master, the judge, in fact, granted that motion and appointed Judge Raymond Dearie, a Reagan appointee proposed by Trump's lawyers and agreed to by the DOJ. And then what happened, the DOJ appealed her ruling, and they also, in that appeal, sought a partial stay pending the appeal of the order with respect just to the 100 plus documents bearing the classification markings. Well, the Court of Appeals last Wednesday night issued what Larry Tribe, a Harvard constitutional scholar, called an excoriating and crushing slapdown of Judge Cannon's extraordinary order. So the 3-judge panel, in an opinion issued for the whole court, reversed her order to the DOJ that it not use 100 classified documents found in the search in its criminal investigation. The appellate court judges said that the record lacked any evidence that Trump had any personal interest in classified documents, or that he had in fact declassified them as president. And the court stated that they could not, quote, discern why Trump would have an individual interest or need for any of these 100 documents with classification markings. Now, under the law, a person may have access to classified information only if, among other things, there is a, quote, need to know the information. But the opinion stated this requirement pertains equally to former presidents. The opinion then concluded that the lower court judge, who, by the way, is a Trump appointee, had abused her discretion. And I should note that 2 of the judges in the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit were Trump appointees, and one was I believe, a Bush or Reagan appointee. So back at the district court level, Judge Dearie, the special master, now has to implement this ruling and finish the special master process by Thanksgiving. So he gave Trump's lawyers until this Friday to declare under oath, i.e. to offer evidence, which documents are misclassified, mischaracterized as classified on the inventory list, and which documents the FBI allegedly planted during or after the search. In short, the Trump lawyers have painted themselves into a corner. Trump's last hope in this case may be last hope to slither out of accountability for having actually stolen hundreds of government records will be when Judge Deary's recommendation goes back to Judge Cannon. I think, though, it's fair to say that her career and reputation as a judge are already under a cloud due to the abuse of her discretion that the Court of Appeals already noted. So I hope she will do the right thing. The second development I want to talk about is that the New York Attorney General, Tish James, has sued former President Donald Trump and his organization in a civil suit alleging multiple counts of tax fraud and misrepresentation, not only by Trump, but by his organization, his 3 eldest offspring, who are executives of the company, and 2 other high-ranking executives in the organization. Now, what the case is about is that Trump obtained hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate loans and favorable insurance coverage based on financial statements that inflated his net worth by billions of dollars over a 10-year period. Tish James said in announcing the lawsuit, claiming that you have money you do not have does not amount to art of the deal, it is the art of the steal. So the 214-page lawsuit seeks disgorgement, in other words, the paying back of financial benefits obtained as a result of this 10-year scheme, estimated at a minimum of $250 million. Just one example, Trump used inflated values to redevelop the beautiful old post office in Washington, D.C. into a luxury hotel, and later sold that property at a net profit of more than $100 million. So the suit also, the Attorney General wants also to bar Trump and his adult offspring from serving as officers or directors in any New York corporation, to bar Trump and his company from obtaining commercial property, and to bar Trump and his company from applying for loans from New York registered financial institutions, all for a period of 5 years. If she prevails in this suit, this could cripple Trump's business in New York State. But there are 2 notable things about this being a civil case rather than a criminal case. First is the burden of proof. The Attorney General only has to meet the preponderance of evidence standard. She doesn't have to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. The second thing is that in a civil case like this, pleading the fifth can be used against you. And Trump pleaded the fifth already more than 440 times in his deposition last month. You may recall he said, if you're innocent, why are you pleading the fifth? You may recall that statement. Well, significantly, James is making criminal referrals as well to both federal prosecutors at the DOJ and the Internal Revenue Service. She called this pattern of fraud, quote, astounding, quote, staggering. She said it was a scheme that by its very nature became more profitable over time, and she says it's all in stark violation of the law. So the next thing I want to mention, this is somewhat shorter, but it's an extremely important development, I think, that seemingly has not gotten much of any traction in the media in the wake of the FBI's lawful Mar-a-Lago search. And that is that the US Senate also last Wednesday issued a resolution unanimously expressing the sense of the Senate that violence and threats of violence against the employees of the Federal Bureau of Investigation are unacceptable and should be condemned. And that is not perhaps that surprising that it would condemn the threats of violence levied after the search against the employees of the FBI and their families. But the resolution goes further to state that the threats have been inflamed by calls from members of Congress to, quote, destroy the FBI, to, quote, defund the FBI, members of Congress comparing the execution of the warrant to actions of the Nazi Gestapo, and repeated attacks by the former president himself, who has called FBI officials, among other insults, as the resolution puts it, vicious monsters. It notes also the calls for civil war and armed rebellion. It cites the dirty bomb outside of the FBI headquarters. It cites the posting of personal identifying information of agents' home addresses and identification of their family members. It states that the continued leveling of threats and baseless attacks, it's the resolution language, against the FBI will increase the risk of injury or death that employees of the FBI face. And finally, it acknowledges that FBI agents put their lives on the line every day to protect our communities and to uphold the rule of law. This is all language from the resolution. And finally, it urges public officials at every level of government to reject and condemn political violence and the threat of political violence, regardless of its motivation. It honors the dedicated service of the FBI's of the employees of the FBI, expressly mentioning their work executing lawful warrants, and most importantly, to democracy. It affirms that a founding principle of the United States is that individuals settle differences through the political process and not through the use or threat of violence. Bingo. Unanimous. Unbelievable that this is unanimous. Let's see if the Republican members of the Senate uphold this unanimous resolution. So last week was a bad week for Trump on so many legal fronts, but ultimately, and this is a lawyer's worst nightmare, the requisite criminal intent or mens rea in probably the most likely case to result in an indictment will likely be proven by words coming out of Trump's own mouth. Trump told his aides last year that he believed that some of the documents were his personal property, that he'd agreed to give the government what he believed they were entitled to. But in an unhinged televised interview last week with Sean Hannity, Trump said that the president can declassify documents, and this is a quote, even by thinking about it, because you're sending it to Mar-a-Lago or to wherever you're sending it. And there doesn't have to be a process. When you send it, it's declassified, close quote. He tried to catch himself and obscure his admission, but the words were already out of his mouth. He was sending those documents to Mar-a-Lago intentionally. As his legal defenses collapse, he is resorting to things like this telepathy defense, or even more striking in the same interview, the Hillary Clinton email defense, where he said the FBI might have been looking for Hillary Clinton's emails when they raided Mar-a-Lago. The bottom line, folks, is that this is all government property, and classification of these documents is just a red herring, as the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit said in its order slapping down Judge Cannon's order. I want to mention three other very quick items that all occurred last week. The DOJ subpoenaed 40 witnesses within Trump's orbit. They seized the photos of two top advisors of Trump, and even more significantly, because we haven't heard from them for a while, the January 6th committee indicated last week that it has more information to reveal about Trump's culpability. And you should be hearing about this in today's hearing that's scheduled. It might have actually already started. On Wednesday, also the same day as all of this, the Attorney General's investigation, the resolution, all of this came down. The New York DA, Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, also announced that despite we all thought he was giving Trump a pass, he announced in a tweet that the criminal investigation of Trump and his organization is active and ongoing. So let's mobilize, galvanize, energize our strength together to take back our democracy from minority rule. And I'll repeat what Paula said earlier, go to votefromabroad.org to get your ballot. Wherever you are, get active, join Democrats Abroad. We help people vote no matter what party they're in or what party they support. We have fabulous voter assistance and protection teams. If you have questions or trouble with voting from abroad, you can email me at Elizabeth_Myers@democratsabroad.org. And you know, we continue to gain ground ahead of the midterms, which are only about 42 days or so away. And guess what? American women are organizing around the taking away of our rights, our right to privacy and our reproductive rights. And that's just the first thing. So we can do this. And if not us, who? If not now, when? Be there
Well,
for American democracy and freedom. And that is the name of this report.
oh,
Thanks, Queen Mom.
wow.
Over to
Oh,
you.
wow. This is deliciously wonderful. Go ahead, Nana.
Yes, yes, I'm in agreement. So, ladies and viewers, you can see why we were so excited about the riveting Talila report. She keeps us informed, and we
All
want
the
you to
time.
get active. No matter where you are in the world, it's important that you get at. One person can make a difference, as you're seeing. So now, bringing together the wives of police across the country.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
We were going with Mary. Mary is next.
Okay.
Mary is
Well,
next, but I want to bring it. What I would like to do is to just show our audience just who's actually in studio today, so they'll
sounds
know that we
good.
have
Sounds
much
good.
more to do, and to bring we have the women from the Police Women Wives Association, and they're going to come on last because I want to give them more.
Okay.
It's about 3 or 4 of them, and we want them to come on last so they can take as much time as they need to talk to our viewing audience. But who we want to
Absolutely.
bring up next would be the one and only Mary. Now, Mary last week started coming on the show. Okay.
Yes.
There she is. We're going to give her a solo view because she's going to be presenting to us right now. But let me tell you a little bit about her.
Please.
She is an empowerment coach, and she has the title of somatic therapist. I'm going to ask her to explain to you exactly what that is, so you will know what it is that she's bringing to the table. Mary spent the last 25 years or so developing programs, check this out, to help people step into their power. To help people step into their power. And I want you to know that she's done a very powerful and profound job in having these programs be available. But something else, something new, something different is happening. And she's going to tell us about that as well. And I'm going to give the space over to Mary, but I just want to take a moment to just acknowledge that Miss Genetrix is here. So Genetrix, we just want you to say hello for a moment. You'll be coming on next. Okay. Can you hear me, Genetrix? You'll be coming on next. But I want you to listen to Miss Mary and what she is bringing today, because what she is bringing is something for all 80,000 police wives. All 80,000 women that are a part of your organization can take on what Mary has to offer. I know this is going to come to you as a surprise, but we have something wonderful for you, Genetrix, and all of the women who are members, all of the wives of the Police Wives Association. Let's hear what Mary has to say. Thank you. Stay there, Genetrix. We'll be coming back to you. Okay, Mary. I just wanted her to know what we were up to. You got the floor, sweetheart.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you, Queen Mother. I'm so pleased to be here, and what an honor to follow the Talila report and that much important clarification of so many details that are hard for those of us who are not lawyers to parse. So thank you, Elizabeth, and proud to call you my sister.
And, thank you, Mary. I'm glad to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
We're 3,000 miles away.
So so we've been talking, Queen Mother and I and various other people, about Blisscipline, about how it impacts people's lives. And I guess let me just answer your question to start with about the somatic therapist. I guess the simplest way to answer it is that in the last 30 years or so, we've really begun to understand about the nervous system due to all kinds of wonderful technology like fMRI and stuff like that. And we began to understand that the view of psychology was kind of off, that in fact, many things are governed by the nervous system, which sits quite just underneath, well, all underneath all thinking. And, and so we began to understand that trauma is actually stored in the nervous system. And it's the nervous system runs throughout the body, and that we cannot address trauma strictly at a psychological level, that we have to actually address it at the body level, and that when we do that, healing can be amazingly fast. In fact, I did the training to become a somatic experiencing therapist after I was already a therapist, and it's a 4-year program, and but you do it in weekends. So 3 weekends the first year, 3 weekends the second year, and in between you go out and you practice. They only offer it to people who are already certified to practice. So you go out and practice. So when you come back for the second weekend, you have 3 months of practice under your belt. So what they said after the first weekend is go try out everything that you've learned, and then come back in 3 months and we'll go over it again. Well, that week, the first week after I did the somatic experiencing training, my practice transformed. People in my practice started having better results than I could have imagined. And so, of course, I was sold right away. So that was a number of years ago. The somatic experiencing training was developed by a man called Peter Levine. And he's got some really interesting books out, like Waking the Tiger. So there's ways to look into this. But the bottom line is my training is working with people one-on-one with their trauma and saying, how can we free you from the effects of this long-term trauma? So some years back, I decided I wanted to try and bring that into a group setting. So it wouldn't just be available one-on-one, so we could make it available to more people. And I've been running some sort of experiments for the last few years. I have a group called Continuum that ran for the last 3 or 4 years. And we started doing this work in groups. And it's been remarkably effective. In fact, in my opinion, it might be more effective because we're together as a community doing it. And so now what we're doing is we're using Blissipline as an entry point to this work. And so I'd love to invite you to join me for an entry point that we're going to be doing in October, November, December. And I guess I'll just tell you about that. Does that sound good to you?
Yes,
indeed.
absolutely.
Okay, great. So I have a group called Blissipline. It's online, and you'll see it says blissipline.life. If you click on blissipline.life, it'll take you to a page that introduces Blissipline, and there's a big button that says join our mastermind group. So just click on that. And this group is 100% free, always will be, has been for, I think we've been running 7 years now. And we just practice in there together. We just do things that help us be happier. And every so often, I've been doing a monthly thing. Well, now I'm going to do a 3-month thing where in October, we're going to start with one of the fundamental understandings that must be in place for us to actually practice Blissipline. Okay. Blissipline empowers us to react deliberately to the world rather than in our old habits of pattern or overwhelm. And sometimes if our lives are very complicated, which many of us are, or we have a lot of trauma or a lot of fear, maybe we're in a dangerous situation, sometimes that requires quite a lot of strong work. And Blissipline teaches us how to access that strength within us in a loving, joyful way. And one of the first things we have to understand, and this is so key and hard for people to grapple with, so I'm dedicating the month of October to this, is we must learn that the mind, the conditioned mind, just thinks. It isn't us. It's just conditioning. It's literally just training. You might have heard something in a movie and your mind stores it away. And then 20 years later, your mind just thinks it. And it's really just sort of offering it to you for your, how about this? But until we understand that, we think our thoughts represent our opinions, represent us, but in fact they don't. They're just conditioning. So when we learn to stop and say, hold on, what do I think? There's a great deal of empowerment in this. And then because each thought generates a feeling, so you have a thought and then you immediately have a feeling in reaction to it. In October, November, we're going to work on feelings, and we're going to talk about where feelings live in the body, what feelings are for, how all feelings are serving us. So for example, many of us condemn anger. You know, we think anger is so bad, especially women should never be angry. But in fact, anger is an essential part of human functioning that tells us important things. It tells us someone is trying to cross our boundaries. It tells us that we are in a situation that has been dangerous before. It tells us many things. And so when we learn how to listen to our emotions, our sadness, our overwhelm might be telling you, you know, sweetheart, you're doing too much. You have to find a way to stop. So we begin to listen to our emotions intelligently. And now, again, we're stepping into a more empowered relationship with them. So our thoughts create feelings. The feelings then generate more thoughts. And then we get into this thing, which is called rumination, where the mind just takes off. And everyone knows how this is. It's like the mind just goes on and on. One of the examples, the more benign examples that I like to offer is, when I used to have to get to work, now I have my little cabin on my home, but when I have to get to work, I would always leave late, and I'd leave the house late and I'd look at my watch and I go, oh my gosh, I'm late. And in that moment, first is the thought, I'm late, which is just accurate, right? Supposed to leave at 10 of and it's 5 of, or something like that. But then the next thought would be like, oh God, what am I doing? And they'd be like, oh, we have that meeting today. My boss is going to kill me. Oh my God. Oh, I was late last week too. So now I'm bringing in the past, right? And then I go, oh, I always do this. I'm so stupid. So now I'm attacking myself. And so there's this momentum of thought that cascades until we're thinking, oh, I'm going to lose my job. If I lose my job, how am I going to finish paying off my house? I'm going to be homeless. And I used to say, I could go from 0 to homeless in 10 seconds. Just poof. That's the mind. Yes. I'm not unusual. We all do this. So it's okay. You go to 0 to homeless in 10 seconds and there you are homeless, right? 10 seconds later, like, hold on, what's going on here? And so in month 3, we're going to explore the intersection of thoughts and feelings, how they create this momentum of the runaway mind. And how in order to come back from the runaway mind, we have to actually soothe the nervous system. And we'll develop specific skills for soothing the nervous system.
Soothing the nervous system. Ooh, yes. That is so sweet.
Yes. I'll mention one of them right now that anyone can try right away. I'll find the page and tell you what it is. I learned this from my therapist and I used it on many clients. And I've used this on people who are so spun out just by a very real in front of them situation. Like right there, they'd call me up and say, oh my God, this is happening. They'd be on the road somewhere, whatever. Yeah. And I've used this technique with people in that level of overwhelm with a real right there situation. And within maybe, 5-10 minutes, brought them back to a state of complete presence and calm. And it's called the 5 senses recycling exercise. And it uses neurobiology to access the parts of the body that soothe us. So not just the mind, it's not the squirrely thinking, it's actually the nervous system. So I have a whole page dedicated to that I'll pull up real quick. I forget the exact URL, but I'll give it to you. And
okay, so but it was called the 5 senses. What, Mary?
The 5 senses recycling exercise. In fact, I'm just going to give it to you right now. Hold on, I have to find it. 5
Very
senses.
good, no problem.
Yes, and
Ms. Genetrix, I hope you're listening to this.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm having a little trouble finding it, but it's on my website. It's not hard to find. So I will make sure I give it to you as soon as I stop talking to you, and that way I won't distract everyone.
And we can always add it to our comments and add it on the Facebook and YouTube comments so that our viewers, even through the week, can interact with your website and with these courses that sound so wonderful, because we all get stressed out at some time. We all go from 0 to 100, even if it's not 0 to homeless. During these times of COVID, so many people were stressed out. And
0 to dead in 10 seconds. Terror. People are living in terror. Absolutely. So
and
that is real. The mind is very unwilling to let go of it. Threat is real.
Yeah. One of the very reasons, Mary, that we brought Miss Genetrix onto the show today and her colleagues with the Police Wives Welfare Association, because these women are going to come on in a moment and tell us some of what they deal with. But what we want them to understand and get is that we have a program, a free introductory program for each and every one of them. They are 80,000 women strong, Mary. But I think she said active may be about 3,000 or 4,000 may actually be what we call active, which is fine. Okay, but I want them to get that we have something here for them today. Because as I've been hearing their stories, my heart has been breaking.
I'm
and
sure.
when my heart breaks, I want to know, Lord, what can I do?
Yes.
And so, blissipline, ladies, blissipline, blissipline. Say it with me. Blissipline.
Blissipline.
Blissipline. Can you say it, Genetrix? Can you say it, Madam General Secretary? Can you say it, Madam President? Blissipline. Blissipline is the name of the game. Blissipline is the name of the game. Back to you, Mary.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so yes, I would be honored if you would join me. And I have many resources that I'd be happy to share with you also, including an entire course called Staying Calm in Crisis, which is free for people and you can have access to it all the time, has some of these exercises in it. So, you know, my mission really is to help people navigate their very challenging lives with more ease and more joy and more empowerment, so that we do find ways to create the changes that we want to see in the world.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. Anything else you want to share with us, Mary, before I bring in the police women?
Well, just that short reminder to go to blissipline.life, which you see at the bottom of the screen there. And then just click on the button at the bottom. It says join our mastermind group and come on into the Blissipline group. And on Saturday, which is October 1st, we'll be initiating this 3-month free program together. And I'll also introduce all the other free resources in there so people can access them.
Oh, that is simply delightful. And I will say that I have already gotten myself registered, okay, into the introductory program. And I've been busy as crazy, but I'm going to get back in there, Mary, but with just a little bit that I got, which I may have shared with about, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 people. You know, the 5 things you told us to do. And we could pick any 2 of the 5. And the 2 that I picked, one of the things I picked was just to gaze at the stars, sky gazing, stargazing. And you write about that experience when you did that. And the second thing that I did was I just went what we call aimlessly walking, which means walking without a purpose or a location or a place in mind. Just walk. And I did that and I laughed the whole time, because usually when I am walking, I've got some thoughts in my head. I'm writing letters, you know, I'm consulting with myself, I'm thinking through things. When you said aimlessly walk, all I could do was laugh the whole time. So that was great for me. Because I'm not usually grinning when I'm walking. I use that time for meditation. I use that time to cry with myself, to be with myself and cry. And sometimes I'm just silent. I don't do anything but just walk, but I'm in that moment. And I love doing that. So I look forward to being in the classes. And I will very much like for my colleagues and friends to join the class. So I want to bring them up right now. Okay, I want to bring in Miss Genetrix. She's going to start us off.
Okay.
Here we go.
You got everybody?
First, let me add her back to the stream. Okay, and then Genetrix, why don't you begin to speak to us and tell us about the association? Can you hear me, Genetrix? Your mic is on. So tell us about. Okay, tell us about the association.
My name is Genetrix. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone.
We can hear you.
Okay. My name is Genetrix. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm the international officer and the police. I'm qualified. And
we're having some difficulty with your with technical support for you. We're only hearing every other word. So let me do the introduction to tell our viewing audience about it. So the National Police Wives Welfare Association brings together the wives of police across the country and unites them and teaches them soft skills and also teaches them how to empower themselves. To my knowledge, this is one of the first shows where we'll hear from the police officers' wives. Many times their husbands come under fire, and police women and men everywhere around the world right now are experiencing some of the most difficult situations because of COVID. So many people are not working. So many children are not in school, and our crime rates have gone up and are crazy. So today we chose to have our special report to feature them. So now we're going to try to get their microphone, try to strengthen their signal so that we can hear from her and all the other women that should be coming in the studio from their association. We'd like to welcome you. Give it a try, Gentrix, again, and see if we can hear you better. Can your colleague go ahead and try to speak to us? Maybe we can hear you better. Her microphone is muted. There we go. Can we hear from you?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Raise your hand if you hear us. There we go. Okay, go ahead and speak. Go ahead and speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good.
Yeah.
And thank you for having us on the show. My name is Anne Owiti Ochieng. I'm a proud police wife. I've been a police wife for the last 18 years. And I'd say many are the times we are prepared for marriage, but we are never prepared for marriage to a policeman. And so the challenges that we are facing are very many. But just to say a few about the association, the National Police Wives Welfare Association was founded by our very able Genetrix Orwa. And it's been in existence since 2014. And our main aim is to be able to bring the police wives together to empower them economically and also socially. Economically, because with the nature of our husband's work, it's really difficult for many police wives to be employed. And so many of the times we remain home taking care of the children because the main challenge is because the nature of their work, they face a lot of transfers. And so you find that when maybe he's been transferred from one region to the other, if the wife was working, then it means maybe the officer has to go on his own and the wife remains behind working. And so we find most of our members are housewives. And so to be able to empower them economically.
Excuse me a minute, Madam Chair Lady. Please mute your phone. Is that your phone? Will you mute your phone?
I'm using the phone.
Okay. So therefore, I don't know if we can do anything about the feedback right now. Okay, please go ahead and continue. Go ahead, Chair Lady. Yes.
Is it better? Okay.
Speak, let's see.
Thank you. Thank you. So as I was saying, we find that most of our members are housewives because of taking care of the children and the nature of our husband's work. So at the moment, we are trying to teach our members to have soft skills, such that as much as we are home, we can be able to do something with our hands to earn as a little cash. And also socially, because we always say the kind of life that I live as a police wife, it is only another police wife that can be able to understand my situation. And so in us having come together, we get to encourage each other. In fact, it's like a support system now. We have like a support group where when one is facing challenges, we can be able to encourage them and get to give them ideas on how they can be able to tackle the issue that they are facing. And so Genetrix founded the association in 2014. We are registered by the government of Kenya. And so far, we have members across the country. We have our members are from all over the country. And we are really working on hello?
We're listening. We're listening. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we are really working on bringing the police wives, all of us together, because we believe that with the special challenges that we are facing, it is only us that understand what we are going through. And so it is only us that can be able to hold the other person's hand whenever we are facing the challenges that we normally go through. And so far, I'd say the biggest challenges we have, for example, are what one of us has mentioned. There's a lot of hostility between the police officers and we call them wananchi. There's a lot of hostility, and so you find
what does that
many
mean?
are the times when wananchi are the public. The
Okay.
public. Yes.
And there's a lot of resentment from the public.
Yes, there is.
Wow.
They face a lot of resentment, a lot of hostility. Yeah, because the public has a different view of what their work is supposed to be and how they're supposed to do their work. And so you find, like, for example, many of the times you're in a matatu and maybe a traffic policeman will be able to, can stop the vehicle, and you can just hear the public, the comments that they're making. And so as a Police Wives Association, we want to bridge the gap between the police officers and the public.
Right.
Because as I normally say, these are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are our fathers, they are our cousins, they are part of us.
Right.
And I normally say there's no policeman in Kenya who came from a different country. But you find when they are not on uniform, we are friends with them. But the moment they put on their uniform, then the hostility is present. And so we want to bridge the gap.
It's
Yes,
wonderful
thank you.
that
We
you're
want
putting a face to the police officers and adding humanity, showing us that they have wives, showing us they have families. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants the police officers to go home safely to their wives and family. But of course, they get angry when they're stopped for traffic, when they're apprehended for crime. And we have to realize that their job in protecting us and keeping us safe is also having everyone follow the rules. And if you're not following the rules, do they step in? Because all over the world, police are getting a lot of kickback from the people, but we don't realize how it affects the wives and the families and the officers themselves, because as you said, they're part of our community.
Yes, they're part of us.
Here in Columbus, Ohio, where I'm visiting, they have PAL, the Police Athletic League. And they have them in cities all across America where they offer sports activities to the children. And what that does, they have a basketball, baseball, football league. So the children get to come and interact with the police in their communities and get to know them outside of the uniform. So they're guiding the lives of these children into adulthood, which helps them have a better relationship and a view and a friend who is on the police force. Do you all have anything like this in Kenya?
Well, at the moment, we've not reached there.
Mm-hmm.
We have not reached there, but I'd say in most of the forums that we are invited, we just get to explain to the public to get to understand that these are our brothers, they are our sisters, and apart from just him appearing in uniform, there's a wife behind him, there are children behind him, there's a whole family, a whole clan behind him. As I normally say, they did not just drop from somewhere. They did not just drop from somewhere. So we are trying to bridge the gap between the police officers and the public, because they are not recognized. The work they do is not recognized. And as I always say, in our country, I've tried to imagine half an hour, as in 30 minutes, without any police officer on duty. And the truth of the matter, it's not possible.
No.
And so
it would not be possible here.
Heroes. It's not possible.
No.
So because of the nature of the work that they do, they are heroes. But they are heroes that are not recognized as heroes. They are not given, should I say, the due respect that they deserve as heroes.
Right.
And so as their wives, we have one of our mantras is heroes do not do it alone.
Right.
So we are the strength behind these heroes to be able to encourage them to keep doing their work. But you find that in the middle of all this, we face challenges. Like, for example, as I mentioned earlier, we are prepared to be married, but none of us. I've never met any of my colleagues who was prepared to be married to an officer.
Right.
As I always say, we learn on the job. We learn on the job. The challenges, yes, we learn on the job. But you find that the challenges that we face, nothing ever prepared us for that. Right. Because, like, for example, because of the nature of his work, most of the time you'll be raising the children alone.
Yeah.
Many are the milestones of the children, you'll be all alone. You find that maybe you have a newborn. In fact, most of us, I've had so many stories of mothers who've given birth and the fathers, the policemen, were not around. They get to meet their babies much later. And you find that the different milestones of just the baby growing up, most of them miss out. You find that maybe you have one of your children has a birthday, the father is not there. And so it's really difficult to explain to this young one that the father is somewhere working and it is a special day for him or her. And so we find that as their wives, we've had to put on both the role of the father and the mother.
Yeah.
Which is a challenge for most of us. We were never prepared for that. We were not ready for that. But I think with now the social empowering activities that we have, it is getting better.
Good.
It is getting better. I'd say it is. Yes, it is getting better because at least we get to encourage each other. In fact, in many of our celebrations, you find that whoever among us is able to attend, then we strive and be able to be there for the young one or for the wife. Okay. But I'd say the greatest challenge we have is just the risk that comes with being an officer.
Yeah.
We've seen
So I have two questions.
many at the time. Yes,
Go
please.
ahead. One, I was wondering, well, I want to suggest that you include the mothers of police officers in your association because they love the mothers, love their children first, men or women.
Yep.
I was wondering, does Kenya have police women also?
Yes, we do have police women.
Oh, okay. And then the other thing, do you all have social media? The Police Wives
Yes, we do
Association?
have social media.
Okay. One of the things here in America, we have funds set aside for the families of the policemen, especially those who have any harm to come through them, or if there's a death, and there's scholarships and educational programming available for the wives and for the children of the police officers here. Do you all have anything like that in Kenya so that if your husband's injured and cannot go to work, then the family's still supported?
Not fully. For us, not fully. Like, for example, you find that when an officer is injured at work, definitely there's medical care for them. But you find that more than the medical care, it's really not available. Like, for example, we have officers who are traumatized, maybe depending on where they've been posted or where they've worked before. But you find that there are no concrete plans to be able to take care of this officer mentally.
Right.
And so many other times, we always advise our members to be really keen to notice when things are starting to go wrong with the officer. Because as their wives, if we live with them, as someone that I've lived with for long, it is easier for me to identify there's a problem.
Right.
And be able to look for that, for the relevant help. Because when it comes to the structure, I can't say there's something concrete.
Right. I know.
So that is a challenge.
That is like our veterans from our wars and our military services. They don't recognize mental health issues for so long here in America, or what we call PTSD, which is post-traumatic distress syndrome. And that's where they've seen something so horrible, they can't talk about it. They can't discuss it. So they take it inwardly, and it mounts and mounts and mounts and mounts and mounts until something within the person breaks. It could be music, it could be a smell, it could be a sound, and it takes them right back to the moment that they were in the presence of something that happened terribly. It could be a shooting, it could be a child being shot, it could be a pregnant woman being shot, it could be themselves being shot, or something, but their families being threatened. It comes from all sides. So it's very important that you, the wives or family members of the police officers, recognize, like you're saying, when something is different about their behavior or depression or their attitude.
Miss Genetrix, who is the torchbearer for the association, she's the one who, for whatever reason, decided we must do this.
Right.
Genetrix, can we hear from you? What led you to start this great organization? Can you hear us, Genetrix? Tell us what led you to start this organization.
That she's pointing to her earpiece, so I don't think she can hear you well.
Let me see. If you can hear me, Genetrix, raise your hand. If you hear me, can you hear me? Okay, she raised her hand.
Hear you.
Okay. Tell us why you started this organization.
Because my sister was to police officer. Then he for the duty. So it's trained.
Okay, I'm sorry, Genetrix. It's not working. It's not working. It's skipping. It's skipping.
Yeah,
So we're not hearing
every
it.
word.
Let us stay. Let us stay with the let's stay with the chair lady right now. And next week, because you see, let me just give an explanation and also an apology. She had planned to be in the house doing this interview, but she said the power in her area is down.
Yes.
So she is outside trying to pick up signals, right? But it's not happening. So hopefully next week the power will be in, or she'll be somewhere stable, and we'll ask her that question again next week. On today's show with the Police Wives Association, Welfare Association, I want to know, did you get what Mary Cordelia offered to you and the members of your organization? Did you get what she offered?
Yes, I did. And we are grateful.
Okay, so what I want you to do is to take down that link. And I will get with you, and together we can compose a letter to the members of the organization that they can come in and get that free introductory session. Okay? So we'll compose a letter that you can send to your members, and they can just click on the link and go in, because she's about helping each of us find our happiness within.
Yes.
And that's why, yes, this is why, Madam Chair, that I wanted to have you on the show today, so that you could hear for yourself what the training is about. And, you know, you go through so much trauma and stress on a regular basis, just so much of it, right? And so I wanted you to know that what Queen Mother Speaks, from Mary Cordelia to Nana Adezawa to Queen Mother, we're offering to your 80,000 membership organization this free introductory workshop about finding your happiness within.
It doesn't take long. You can do it at your own pace and in your own time. So each of the women, you don't have to be on there together.
You don't have to be together. You can go in whenever you go in. Yeah,
right.
Just click on the link.
There's no cost for this introductory offer. So we wanted you to have the opportunity, because as wives and mothers and community participants and leaders, it's important for us to have our own mental health and a place or someplace we can go and stuff we can do to de-stress. We want you to know that you all have our full support, which is why we wanted to hear from your organization, so you don't feel you're alone. And I'm in the United States of America, and I normally come to the viewers in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm visiting my daughter who's expecting a baby and has my grandson, to let them know that they have my support also. So today I'm in Columbus, Ohio, but it was important for me to come on the show to let the wives and the National Association of Policemen and the policemen around the world, their wives and families, to know that we support them and we understand. And all of us are praying for you all, that your husbands come home safely. And they had a huge job during this election. So for our viewers, that if this is their first time tuning in, Kenya just went through their election process. Hello there. And during the Kenyan elections for the past 30 years, there has been violence every 5 years during the election. And so the police...
Except?
Go ahead.
Yes.
This year. And so here at Queen Mother Speaks, because Dash is there, my good friend, and it's important for us that she stayed safe. So we've been following the election around the world and tuning into the different police stations and their advisories and publicity, so we can find out what's going on, because in the past they've had a tremendous job of keeping the citizens of Kenya safe. So we wanted you to know that we stand with you around the world, and you all are not alone. Women and police officers' wives and families around the world want you to know that we're with you, and we want to hear your voices. We're concerned about you.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
And Maureen has now joined the
Thank you.
conversation.
Hey,
Maureen?
Maureen. Can we hear
Hello.
you? Let me check. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, Maureen.
Hi.
Thank you. Tell us a
I'm
little bit about what you do in the association.
in the Association of National Police Wives.
Yes.
Okay, I am the Secretary General of the National Police Wives Welfare Association.
Mhm. Okay. What does that entail? Is it something you can talk about?
Yes, the Secretary General is the person that is responsible for most of the general records of this association. So I ensure that most of the records are updated, because that is my work, and everything before it is done, before it is communicated, the chair lies with the chairperson and other leaders, so that we sit down, plan, and make the strategies for our association, even before releasing the information to the members.
Mhm. Very
Yeah.
Now,
good.
she wasn't
and how
here
long have you
earlier.
held that position?
Sorry?
How long have you held that position?
For the position of the Secretary General.
Yes.
Okay, I started being the Secretary General from the year 2018 up to date.
Uh-huh. Okay. So she's been serving. And we just want to
Yep.
thank you, Maureen, for the years of service that you're giving to
Mm.
the policemen and the police wives. We appreciate that very
Mm.
much. So we are going to have the Police Wives Welfare Association back on Queen Mother Speaks again next week. Now, this week, they're telling us about the association and some of the challenges that the women may face as the men are out protecting and serving. Next week, we're gonna take a deeper dive, and we're gonna be talking about the orphans of the policemen,
Ooh,
as
yes.
well as the widows.
Yeah.
The widows.
A whole nother area. We're going to cover that next week in full detail. And Ms. Genetrex, I'm just going to say to you, be sure that you have yourself somewhere where you can be heard.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Where she can be heard, because for whatever reason, with the power out and being out on the outside hasn't given her the kind of what she needed to be fully on this show today.
Yeah.
You know, it,
So,
did, it
Queen
didn't
Mother,
happen, but hopefully next week. Yes, my dear. I want to just give a big shout out to Ambimbola, Lady Mo, Ursula Anderson, Michelle,
yes.
Ernestine, and Tina from Atlanta. And I just want to say that the association is about bringing the wives of the police together across
Yes.
this whole country and uniting them. And they also are teaching them certain skills. That's another area that we'll get into talking about as we go along. But we want the association to know that we are here to support you, to be with you, and to help you in the way that we can through your organization. As we mentioned earlier, you're teaching your women some skills. Let's see what companies are here in Kenya that we can get them registered with to begin to take classes. So let's find out what organizations may have funds available for them. That's research, right? That's research. So we're here to work with you in some of these capacities and some of these areas, but most of all, Queen Mother Speaks is an international show, and we just want people around the globe to know what's happening in Kenya with the policemen as well as with the police wives. Okay, we want to take a moment right now to thank Miss Genetrix, who's the founder of the organization. I will not tell her story. I'll wait till next week and let her come and tell you her own story. We're going to take a moment here and talk about the Ahadi reusable pads.
Queen Mother, before you get there,
Sorry, go ahead, Nana. I'm sorry.
One of our viewers asked, she kept getting kicked off, but she says she's back in. So Miss Murphy, she said perhaps the Queen Mother Speaks show can assist the wives with the skill sets that are required in becoming self-sufficient. But I think what she was talking about, are you all considered an NGO?
Or a nonprofit?
No, not an NGO.
Okay.
Okay.
We are just a welfare association.
Okay. Because one of the things that we could do, another program that many organizations have here is school supplies giveaways. So when we know that the children are going back to school in the communities, and 80,000, you all are covering all of Kenya, it seems, but they get together, they schedule a day, and they give the kids a book bag with paper, pencils, erasers, crayons, and different school things that they need, supplies, school supplies. And you can identify each of our schools, put online what supplies the children need.
Well, wait, you don't have to put it online. Listen,
No,
they need the supplies that all the children need.
Okay,
so
right.
I'm happy to hear this. And what I'm thinking, Ms. Genetrix and Maureen, and to our chair lady, is perhaps by September next year, we can begin raising some of these materials for the children and sending them over to the association so you can figure out how to distribute them in the various counties where your members are. But they need the same thing we need. That our kids need. They need the exact same thing.
Right. So what that does, it gives a positive light to the families and the police officers that are serving the communities, because the people come and meet them in non-emergency situations. So then they think about them totally different when they're meeting the needs of food or the school supplies. And here they also do bicycle giveaways, the bicycle and the helmet. And they the children come together, they get a new bicycle, and then they talk to them about bicycle safety, the rules of riding on the roads or whatever. But because the children get a new bicycle or school supplies, or the different come together for the athletics, then they're very happy when they see the police officers. You know, they ride by waving and they're smiling at the families, and that creates a bond because they remember from when they're little. And then the police officers and their wives and families interact with the people in the community all the time. So we'll see if we can get some of the police associations here to help us in this endeavor, and families of police officers.
But the first things first, where we want to start is offering the free program where they can find their happiness within. That's first and foremost.
Absolutely.
That's the guard that they need to begin to move forward. And then we can create a plan over time to do things to help in the ways that they have identified, one of them being school supplies for the children. Absolutely, positively. Okay, I want to talk a moment, if I may, about the Ahadi reusable pads. And I do know that inside of the Police Welfare Association, that they too are doing some programs around sanitary pads for the girls and the women. That's a program that Queen Mother Speaks has taken on. And we have 5 villages in different parts of Africa that we will be supporting with the sanitary pads. And I just want to invite those who are tuning in that we need you to support us with your donation. We're just asking for 10 US dollars, just 10 US dollars. And you can send it. We have 2 locations. You can send it to those of you in Kenya. You can send it to M-Pesa pay bill number +254 796 509 965. Once again, 254 796 509 965. Or you can send us your $10 donation to PayPal. And you send it to an email address, dashaking@gmail.com. Dasha, DASHA, king@gmail.com. You go to your PayPal account, put in dashaking@gmail.com, and your donation will come straight to us. Again, if you're in Kenya, you can use the M-Pesa pay bill phone number to make your $10 donation. For the $10 that you send, each girl will receive a packet like this.
Yes.
Okay, and on the inside, there's 4 pads. 4 soft pads for the girls. Okay. And they're called reusable because you can wash them and they're good for a year. So for the $10, each girl will get 4 of these pads inside of this little pouch. Okay. And they'll get 2 pair of panties. All right. $10. $10. Some of you spend that much having fun. But please consider the Queen Mother Speaks project. This is our anniversary project of giving our young girls what they need. Thank you for those who made your donations. We want more. We want to service 5 different villages in different countries, but we cannot do it without you.
Now, Queen Mother,
yes, please.
Please tell our viewers that are around the world why the girls and women need this assistance in these areas. Because, you know, here and in other countries, we have sewage, we have everything, and women go to work, lead countries, and do everything all of the time and hold large positions as professors and engineers. And the thinking is different. So please tell us why they're so needed there.
Well, why those sanitary pads are needed is every month, all women across the globe will experience their monthly cycle. And when our young girls in some of the African countries are having their cycles, they don't have anything to use. So as a result, they cannot go to school on those days. Okay? So if you miss too many days in school, guess what happens? What happens? You fail, you get kicked out, or you have to repeat. Okay? That is the main reason why we want to make sure we're supplying our young girls with the pads so that they can stay in school. Too many absent days, you can't go. You get kicked out. So it's very important. You know, this cycle, this thing that's happened, is a part of being a woman for all women across the world. So now we want our young girls to be in school, and with pads that they can wash later and reuse, they can definitely be in school. So giving a donation towards the pad keeps a young girl in school, allow her to fulfill her destinies and reach some of her dreams. Once again, we invite you to tune into Queen Mother Speaks every Wednesday, live at 10 a.m. New York time, 5 p.m. Kenya time. And if you're tuning in on Facebook, go to Queen Mother Speaks. Facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks.
Yes.
And if you missed the broadcast today, it's all right. All you need to do is go to Facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks, and you can pick up this show right there. We'll leave it on Facebook for a while, so you can always go in and check it out. What else we want to say to you? That and also with Queen Mother Speaks, you can go to Facebook.com Queen Mother Speaks and Facebook.com/Arthur Teresa R. Kemp. Facebook.com/Arthur Teresa R. Kemp. Either one of those. We ask you to know your time zone and continue to tune into Queen Mother Speaks. Now, on next week, October 5th, our guest will be May Stella, who is a woman in politics. And we're going to hear from Shirley, who is an expat who lives in Spain. Nana, will you give us the thank yous?
I sure will. So Queen Mother Speaks would like to thank the designers, the Wilborn Sister Designs. We'd like to thank the village of Achiavi in the Volta region of Ghana for jewelry. There's fashion by Ghana designers, both African designers in the United States, Kenya, Ghana. We'd like to thank Hillside Chapel and the Truth Center for our inspirational verses. We do them all the time. Our show ran long today, but we definitely want to thank all of our guests. We'd like to thank the Paya Paya Arts Center and congratulate them on the recent 90th birthday. In the virtual room, we're supported by StreamYard.com and StreetCode.com. The host of Queen Mother Speaks, of course, I always love to thank my good friend and share this girlfriend time with you. So make sure that you call and organize a watch party for next week. If you know any police wives where you live around the world. We'd like to have them tune in so that they can give us their comments and share what they're going through with our Police Wives National Association in Kenya. I'm Teresa Kemp, Nana Afua Adezawa the first. I'm the Queen Mother of Man Kasim, and Queen Mother de Nuno, she's in the Volta region, Achiavi, a Queen Mother also in Ghana. We love to thank the Tehila Report, Miss Elizabeth Myers. She never fails to deliver the most riveting report.
A great report, yes.
Yes. And then Professor Al Gastigan and Willie Butler, we want to make sure that you know that we've been praying for both of them, and that we look forward to their report coming soon. Our youth in Africa, Africa's up and coming talent, we look to hear a report from them soon. We'd like to thank the Art of Living Institute, and they help us with breathing and de-stressing and increasing our being in touch with ourselves and learning more about our body. And the studio guest, of course, Mary Cordelia and the National Association of Police Wives. We want to thank you for coming on the show, and we'd like to thank you too for tuning in and participating. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Share, comment. Like, share, comment. Share, comment. And we're going to be telling you more about what these women, these powerful women in Kenya are doing. And ladies, we look forward to partnering with you and doing some things for the children. We look forward to partnering with you and having you to take these workshops that can help you deal with yourself, given the stress that you are under. Right? We want to help you with that.
Thank you.
And that's why Queen Mother want to offer this very special Blissipin training. And you can get that by simply going to that link that we put on the screen earlier. Right now, we're going to end the show. And the way we end the show is with a kiss. We start off with our left hand. We throw a kiss. We take our right hand. We throw a kiss. Then we take both hands together and blow a kiss. So let's get started now with the left hand. Get ready. Blow your kiss. All right. Right hand.
Everybody needs love everywhere.
Yeah. And know that somebody somewhere needs love. Let them receive this coming from us right here, right now. Let's go, ladies.
And if today's your birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy graduation.
Birthday.
If you just had a baby,
oh yes, graduation season in Kenya. And I've been noticing a lot of graduates walking around in their robes. Congratulations to each and every one of them. This is Queen Mother Speak. Every Wednesday, every week, live at 10 a.m. New York time, 5 p.m. Kenya time. We see you next week. Facebook.com, Queen Mother Speaks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.